Okay. Now, we actually going into the second law. The second law is what we call the law of awareness. Um, what we have seen is a challenge. I've been mentoring many people during my career. One of the challenge that I always see is people always say, I do not know what I want because I have not had a chance to try everything yet. In fact, this is something that happened today. I was mentoring someone who is a graduate student from UC San Diego. She wants to get into the pharmaceutical industry, and she actually said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to do like all 4 or 5 different positions. I'm going to apply all." And then I actually have to share with her, "Hey, we have to stop. You cannot just go after 5 or 6 different positions, and they're all different positions and keep applying, right? That doesn't work. And you need to understand what you want, what your passion is, what your expertise is, right? Then you go into the direction that you want to. So one key thing is this is what we say, you must know yourself in order to grow yourself. I think that's the key thing. And it is quite common. The way I look at it is very, very common to see many people are actually getting into this trap. Sorry, either number one, I see that in early career, I see that in mid career, and I also see that in late career. People always say that I still do not know what I want, or I know what I want, but I cannot do it. So we're going to discuss that, okay? Um, okay. They in the book they actually start talking about 3 types of people. Those people who say that I do not know what I like to do. If they do not know what they like to do, they continue to drift. That's why I call them the drifter, right? They will get a job, they will continue to do that job, they will continue to be unhappy. They do that job because they need the money to support the family, or they need the money, or they need to do certain things to help the family, and that's why they continue their job, but they are on auto cruise. We have the rest, the other group, they actually say, I know what I want to do, but I don't do it. You know, I have seen friends like that. These are the people, either they procrastinate, they say, that's fine, I would wait for the right environment, then only I start doing it. Either they think that way, or they are fear of failure, fear of making mistake. That's why they dare not do it, right? They know this is the right thing, but I'm just too fear. I'm just too afraid that if I do it, I messed up. So they continue to procrastinate, right? Or the third type of this is they want everything to be perfect. Then only they do it. So this will be the other type. And of course, the third type of people we're looking into will be the achiever, right? I know what I want and I will do it right away. Okay. So I just want to open something here. What do you all think as you look into this? Have you seen a drifter? Have you seen a procrastinator? Have you seen an achiever? And the other part would then be is, where are you in this journey? Right? I'm going to share with you. I'm the procrastinator. That's where I have challenge. Is I always want to wait for the perfect environment that only I start. So I also very, very afraid of making mistake. So I'm actually in this group, right? So I'm going to open this up for the group to share a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would also identify with the procrastinator more so because of it could be overthinking, but also it's sometimes honestly lack of energy. But I feel like I can move into the achiever if needed. Um, but it's not something I can sustain. As you know, uh, on the disc profile, I'm more of a C at the core. So achiever is more of probably D, maybe I. But a C can achieve well if they're given proper boundaries.
Right, right. It doesn't really matter of your personality, right? I think it's what matter is your awareness of where you are and how you channel that energy. This is how I see that. Joseph, what do you think? Joseph is a C. I know Joseph is a C, a very conscientious person.
Mm.
So Avery, you and Joseph will be very, very good friends.
Um, I think I would fall in probably somewhere in between the procrastinator and the achiever. And one thing I think about it, and something that you said, and I want to kind of propose kind of a different spin on that is I think, there's a lot of people who are, fear of failure. But then I also think, sometimes I think I kind of fall in this area, even between these two, is some of us have a fear of success. And the
Fear
reason
of
why I
success?
say that is yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of us who have a fear of success because then it comes with a level of accountability. It's almost, you know, the fear of failure is what if I make a mistake? If someone may look at me differently or may be perceived different if I make a mistake. But then I want to propose is that, what happens if you succeed? Then there's a level of expectation that you have to continue to succeed. And then that becomes sometimes the pressure of expectations of, okay, this is what you do. It's almost like you have to raise your own bar. Um, and so I think some people, are just comfortable being, and I'm probably sure many of us have read the book Good to Great.
Yeah.
It's, all of, there's a lot of people who are just comfortable being average, which I think about average as being top of the bottom. And there's just a level of I am good enough to kind of make it. I'm good enough where sometimes my 70% looks like other people's 100%, so I can be comfortable there. And so I think that sometimes, a lot of us have a fear of success because it comes with additional expectations and responsibilities. Where if we're just good, if we kind of hang out in the area of procrastination and achiever, okay, well, I can get that done, and I kind of be good at doing that because it looks, I know I'm a procrastinator, but to other people, it looks like, wow, I mean, he's just knocking it out the park. And that's where I sometimes think about it in my own life. And then also, sometimes if you look at other people, you can perceive other people of being high achievers or just being achieving. And they could just be like, well, I'm just good at this. I mean, I procrastinate more than anybody else, but it looks like it because I can compensate that by just being naturally talented or gifted or trained well or work well. So that's kind of where, I think sometimes, we absolutely have a fear of, a lot of us have a fear of failure, but, I believe that some of us do have that fear of success.
I love that. I love that. That's great insight, Joseph. In fact, I also hear a lot of people say, I don't want to take the manager positions. I don't like the stress that, seeing the stress that my manager is having. But the person is absolutely, absolutely have the potential, have the right skill. And you hit it on the nail, Joseph. Great, great, great point. Yeah. Rawa, anything? I see your face. I know it. Now, Joseph, I think you hit something on the nail. That's why look at her face.
Yes, I am afraid of success. I am, but in this group, I'm not in any one of it. Um, like I am not afraid of failure or doing mistakes. It's actually the opposite. Maybe I can take the risk. I will do it. Um, And sometimes, yeah, so I will do it and I will try hard, but definitely I'm not procrastinator, but I'm not achiever. I think I needed to grow, to know myself. And then when I reach that, I felt now it is, it's not like I'm saying it is too late to do it. I will do it. I hope I will have the right plan to do it. Just what are the skills I need? It needs years of technical work. Maybe I won't have the opportunity to do it. Like I am interested in science, maybe since I was 15, but I didn't know the path. What type of science? How I proceed that from pharmacy to, you know, PhD in here. Um, I remember when I left with Virginia, I panicked. I was so scared of working, like if I will work or maybe I talked to you about managing before, like it is, I am so scared of that. I don't think I can be in the position of leadership or be responsible to make decision. And I don't prefer that. I prefer to work in a team, like someone else to take. And if being successful in that, that will be satisfying for me. It's not like I'm looking really to be at the top, but still I needed to grow. Like I will start my best now to find where I will reach, I would say.
Great, great. Let's go to the next slide, right? So with that, I think it's important for us to look at our strength, our weakness, what our interest is, and what will be our opportunity, right? So the thing is this, many of the time, people do not even have time to reflect what is their strength or their weakness, right? They didn't even know. They just keep doing the same thing again, again, and again, and again, right? That's the challenge sometimes that we have in life, right? The good thing is we have all the different tools that is available now for us to do our assessment, self-assessment, right? To understand what's our strength, what's our weakness, and even some of the tools actually say that by doing this, this is your best career based on your personality that you're going to get into. So these are good tools that we have. I do want to encourage people to really engage in using those tools. That's number one. Number two will be now, if you have no access to the tools that we talk about, I know Joseph, Rawa, and Every, you have done the DISC profile, right? Kwatsia, you have not done that yet, right? So if you have no access to those tools, so how can you find out your strength, your weakness, your opportunity, and your interest? Is that a way to do that?
Self-reflection
Self-reflection, yeah,
and
absolutely.
asking others, your coworkers, your family, your friends.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. In fact, for years, I have not seen any personality assessment or self-assess those tools until I'm 30 over years old, right? That was the first time that I see it. But prior to that, what I always get is people telling me, friends telling me, supervisor telling me where I am, what my strength is, where my weakness is, and where I should consider opportunity. I think that's the key one that I want to get that message is surround yourself with the right people. I think that's what I would want to say, right? So key would be for self-awareness, right? Having a group of people with you, that will be the key one. And which we're going to talk about that during the next slides. Okay. Kwatsia, you are a little bit quiet. I just want to see whether you have anything to add on to the group.
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat that? I didn't get you what you
Yeah,
said.
quiet. Do you want to add anything on based on what we shared just now?
Yeah, actually, I just thinking about the slide that we talked about a few minutes ago. That you asked that yeah, where you see yourself in these three. So actually, for me, I don't see myself in none of them. So I
Well,
see somewhere else myself, and it's a kind of confusion, or I can't take a decision. I mean, so I know what I like to do and I want to do, but I can't do for now.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the thing with me, and and then I sit and think with myself about multiple options. Okay, so if I quit my this experience or knowledge and I start a new one, because I'm starting from zero again. Yeah, so these are my challenges. And what if I start, then in community, some my friends advise that, or don't think about I mean, start something like your own business, something like this. Or other ones say no, start something like you have learned, you have experience, you know things. So invest in your knowledge that you have already. So I'm in between these gaps and trying to find myself and my strength.
very good. Hopefully this chapter will help as you
Yeah.
go through, when we go to the 10 questions, and this is where we're going to get into, right? Which I'm going to pivot to this slide now. And in the chapter, it talks about, now, to have self-awareness, there are questions that you need to ask yourself, right? Number one, um, you need to uncover your purpose. So number one, they ask, do you like your current work? That's the first question, right? If you like your current work, great. You're fulfilling that. Now, what we have seen is many people actually do not like their current work, and yet they stay on that work, right? Again, it could be due to uh, commitment, financial commitment, could be due to lack of opportunity, right? It could be due to all these reasons. But you're going to stay there, that's fine. But the question is what you're going to do next. I think that's the key one, right? In order to grow. So the second question is, what do you want to do? All right. And I'm sure everyone will have different things that they want to do. I know uh, at one point, I always say that I want to be a scientist like Rawa, right? That's what I want to do. And as I started to grow, and you change, that's fine, right? But the question is, we need to constantly asking, what do you want to do? The third question is, which is a capability questions. Can you do it? Right? And honestly, since young, I want to be a medical doctor. And that was one of my passions. And now as I reflect, can I do it? Probably no, right? Because of the kind of commitment, the work schedule, the kind of things that you see on a day-to-day basis. And I remember, Rawa, when I was a pharmacist, I was at the hospital. I see a patient's pass in front of me. I was in the heart transplant unit, and I see patients pass. Right, it's very it's common. I cannot take it. Right, it's rude. And basically, yeah, even though I want to do that, but I can't do it. That's not me, right? And the fourth question is, why do you want to do it? So from question 1 to 4, it's talking about your purpose and your capability, right? Your passions, your purpose, and your capability. Once you have that answer, the next couple of steps is help you understand, okay, what's your first step? If you know this is what you want. Question, I hope this answers your questions, right? What is your first step that you want to do? Do you know other people who's doing the same thing? If yes, should you go work with them? Are you going to be connected with them? How are you going to be with them? Right? The key for this is surround yourself with the right-minded people. so that they could give you ideas, they could guide you, right? So Rawa, I know you're coming to the good side now, coming to learning into management, right? So the question is, do you know others who's doing it? Which I think you're doing the right thing. Basically, you say, let's join the class and let's work
Yeah,
with all these people, right?
but about this connect yourself, it doesn't really apply in real life. I found during the last year, and connection, it really doesn't help. Not even or through LinkedIn or through, I don't know, or it doesn't help that connection. I don't, as if in when you apply for a job, there is different criteria, like so I really don't agree with these connections
You
or
don't
surround
agree?
yourself with the self-minded. It didn't get me anywhere.
It did not get you anywhere, but it sustained you in moving you to a different directions, and you have people helping you to get to this direction. Now,
Yes,
it depends. It will not help you in getting the job. That's just one thing, right? But actually, with all this connection, it helps you grow in another direction,
yes, yes. Even if it's just from my side, if I'm following their LinkedIn page and see what they are doing and like how they are moving, yes, it helped me to find the way through.
right? So I think the other thing will be, once you understand what you want, for example, if I want to start my own business, right? So by working in Co-Hatch, which is a co-working facility, I'm actually connected with people who are starting their business. And actually they're guiding me. Some of them actually guiding me, right? They actually say, hey, you know what, John, you need to start looking into this in your website. John, you need to start doing this so that people knows you. So that connection actually helps me to know what I need to do on my next step. So that's the key thing, right? Step number 8, I I make it big for a purpose. Those red font, these are the area that I see people struggle a lot. That's why I put them red. Those bigger one, I actually put it there because they are the greatest challenges that I have seen all the time. Is okay, I know what I want, I know how to get it, right? The question is, were you willing to pay the price? And that's the critical questions. And I do not mind sharing this. I know I did share, I was the youngest manager being promoted, right? But in 2 years' time, I was the fastest manager going to be fired, possibly going to be fired, right? Because I was not up there being the manager. I'm not able to think strategically. I'm not able to lead people and all that. And I know I'm going downhill. So what I need to do then is I need to up the game. In order to up the game is I need to read books. Also, I need to go to school. That's where I actually say I need an MBA. With that MBA, I will have no foundations being in management team. I know nothing about finance. I know nothing about corporate strategy. I know nothing about people management. So now the question is, am I willing to pay the price to go to MBA school? And Kwatsia, I hope this answers your questions. I did then do the analysis and say, okay, I will probably need to do part-time because I cannot afford not having an income, right? I agree. I make that agreement with my supervisor. That's number one. Number two would then be, how am I going to pay for my MBA school? Now, the good thing is I did it in Malaysia. It's not as expensive as an MBA here, but it's still a quality education because the school actually collaborate with MIT. All right, MIT in the US, but even though it's in Malaysia, but they have a collaboration, so the curriculum are similar. Then I said, okay, but I still do not have the money to pay for that school. So what I did is I decided to sell my car. I sold off my car. I take all those money and I enroll myself into MBA. That was what I did. And for 2 years, actually for 3 years, I took the bus to work. All right. And I took the train to my MBA school, and someone will drop me off. After we finish school, someone will drop me off somewhere so that my wife could pick me up. And that was the price that I'm willing to pay. It was painful, right? So that's always the challenge. I think this is the greatest barrier for anyone who want to grow, even though they know their purpose, they know the people. When it comes to actions, this is what block many of us is, I can't pay the price. We say that I cannot pay the price, right? But the question is, how much sacrifice are you willing to do that? Okay. Once you finish that, the next question is, so when can you start? And what success look like? All right. I'm going to stop here. Up to will you pay the price, right? Up to there. I just want the team to reflect that. Now, again, this is growth, right? Growth for self-awareness. Once you're aware, what's your next step? Are you willing to pay the price? I just want to see anyone have any thought in this. Why are you all so quiet?
We're thinking.
We're thinking.
So for me, can you do it or will you pay the price? Okay, I think I should change my story. Instead of saying I cannot do it, I can say I can't pay the price. Like, for example, I can't do science, I can't do experiment, I did the PhD, but I thought that will be temporarily. I didn't know the price is to spend your life in the lab even after graduation. So I wasn't willing to pay the price for that and stay in the lab. I wanted to come to my family and, experience other things in my life. So that big change. Instead of I feel like I can't do it, I don't want to do that, but I want to stay in research. So I moved to clinical research. So maybe these two things, will you pay the price or can you do it? Yeah, it's good to change the story sometimes.
But the question is clinical trial what you want?
I specific type of a clinical, like it's mixed between basic and clinical. I know you're asking me because then, okay, if I'm not willing to pay the price and I have my passion to basic science, but I cannot pay the price, then what you will do? You say, I can't do it, I'm not fit for the schedule, the commitment, then what else? What next? You need to find something that, as close as to what you want and
Right.
stay ambitious about it, right?
I like that.
Even if a clinical trial doesn't give me that deep thinking that I have, or the hypothesis, it's from hypothesis and thinking to execution. So even if it doesn't give me that, it's still get me closer to what I want, because otherwise I really can't do it. I can't do the basic science with the system. I don't know, maybe you advise me differently, or anyone maybe in the group, how I will think of it, what else I can do.
Anyone want to advise her? Joseph is thinking. I could see his face.
I think I like the way she phrased it is, will you pay the price and can you pay the price? I think sometimes, I believe if you're looking at this kind of as a progression from do you like your current work or, whether it's work or some area, and getting down to 8, I think some people think about that question is, will you pay the price as a negative or barrier? But I think, it really is kind of like that fork in a road that, I think is when you're uncovering your purpose, that's kind of the place where you either kind of fine tune what you want to do, or maybe in Roger's example, maybe it maybe you kind of mold kind of your purpose with something else you're passionate about, and kind of blending the two, to where you're not answering the question in a negative way of saying, no, I'm not willing to pay the price. It's, maybe it's a different cost that I'm willing to pay, versus being that as a negative, so to speak. And so, you know, I think that's one of those questions that really kind of gets you to a reflection point, because I think willing to pay the price may look different for everybody else, whether it is whether it's a time commitment, whether it's a resource, commitment, whether it's, different areas of sacrifice. So, no, but I love that question when you're kind of bridging it, in this, because I believe, that question does bring a lot of us to crossroads. It's, I can do it. I love to do it. I'm passionate about it. I'm trying to figure out, and you kind of get that place of, will I pay the price? Well, maybe it's a different price I want to pay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
But Joseph, I like that, because what I have seen is a lot of people don't like their current work. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And because they don't, but yet they don't make that change. They don't make the change because they're unwilling to pay the price for that change. That's the challenge, right? Rawa, I think what you're doing now is, yes, I think I'm going to go into a hybrid, a clinical trial work that I have. Maybe that still the same as a scientific thinking that I'm seeing, right? So the whole thing now that you're paying the price is, I'm paying the price to explore another field, which is a clinical trial field, which is great. You're paying that price now. But the challenge is, eventually, if you find out that you really, really don't like that work, now you have to go back to this process again, right? Now, what do you want to do next? Okay, so that's a key thing. I think we need to continuously to come to this process, right? Because this is growth. When you continue to do this, this is where you continue to grow.
And I think that falls in line. I'm sorry, John. And I think that kind of falls into that lesson. I believe it's either chapter 2 or 3. When we talk about awareness, is that some of us get to that question, and it makes us more aware of kind of who we are. At and a level of, in a level. I mean, we can have all these, and wanting to grow and be in a place that now is the time to adapt and figure out what I want to do. But then we get to that, will you pay the prices? I think that's a place where we become aware of ourselves, and like, what am I willing to sacrifice, whether it's an internal or external sacrifice, and I actually think about this in the area of my son and playing soccer, and, and actually kind of playing high level soccer. And, he's done some of this at different stages, of his life. And, I kind of think about the fact, yesterday he was outside and practicing in 20-degree weather. Well, I mean, that's a price, and I was kind of, not directly this quote, but, that's the sacrifice that he has to be an elite soccer player, is, you're outside in 20-degree weather at 9 o'clock at night practicing because you have a goal in mind. And I know there are some times where he thinks, like, why am I out here? I think about sometimes, like, why are you out there? Why am I watching you out there? But I think, there is a price to pay that he's willing to do to kind of get to some of his goals. So, again, I mean, I think that's, really that question becomes so huge when we get to fork roles in our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, this chapter is deep because it's the self-awareness. Once you're aware what you want, are you willing to pay that price? I think that's the key thing. Kwasia, I hope this answered the question that you have, right? So now I know all this, I'm all this, but these are the challenge I have. Now that's a price question that you need to address. You may not be able to pay the price now, right? But what are the interim steps that you could do to get you closer? I think that's the key thing. What will be something in between you could start doing first to get you there one day? All right. Now, this is something that I want to also highlight. Do you know others doing it? Should you work with them? I like this phrase that always taught by John Maxwell, not John C. Okay. John Maxwell always say, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. I love that phrase because you should be in a room where a lot of people are smarter than you. That's how you could grow, right? If you are the smartest one in that room already, then you need to move out of that room, then to a different room. So I love that if you all could write that down, and memorize it, it's going to be very, very useful. All right. So, yeah. So this is a chapter, self-awareness, right? You need to be aware of yourself in order to grow yourself. So once you are aware of what you want, who you are, that's the question that you need to ask. Are you willing to pay that price to grow? Right? And that's the answer that we need to answer that ourselves. Right? Now with this, I know he in the chapter also talking about mental shifts. I'm not going to cover that. You could read that through. I also like this phrase that hope everyone will remember this phrase. You are the average of the 5 people that you always mix around with. Have you thought about that? Right? Looking into who's your friend, that would determine how successful we're going to be. Right? Rawa, if you want to be one of the top clinical researchers in the future, so I'm going to look into your friend, right? So now the circle of your friend, remember you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. but you have a medical doctor at home, so you hang out with someone already. Eric, I see you want to say something.
Yeah, my mom used to say this when I was a teenager, mostly to my brother, but I think not to say I didn't need it to. Yeah. It's I wouldn't say it's the people that I'm around varies week to week to some extent, but the people that are closer to me, they're not necessarily objectively they're not always necessarily successful in the world's standard, but they're a lot older than me. So I tend to gravitate, like I have friends that are more my age, but I tend to gravitate towards older people. But I feel like that is true because it helps shift your mindset. And also there's better support if somebody has a similar perspective, or maybe it's even a different perspective, but they're willing to kind of help with that. Because humans to varying degrees, I mean, we have different personalities, but God designed us to be in community with other people. So I think who you're around does make a difference.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of phrases I hope that you all will be able to remember. Yeah, the average of the 5 people you hang out with all the time. All right. So ask the question, are you willing to pay the price? I think that's the phrase that I always will want to use. All right. So the next one that I'm going to go is I'm going to jump to chapter 4, and then I'm going to come back to chapter 3. Chapter 4 is talking about you need to self-reflect in order to grow, right? Number 1, chapter 2 is you need to be self-aware. So we went through that, right? The second chapter 4 will then be you need to self-reflect. The more you self-reflect, the more you're going to be self-aware. And this is how I see that link. That's why I'm thinking about putting that together, and so that we're going to go through that. So I'm going to go to another slide deck. Wait, I think it's still the same, or no? And then I just share the whole screen. Can you all see my screen? Just need to put this down. Okay, finally. All right. So as we go to the different part, just want to share with the group here, right? So we know leaders only do 3 jobs, right? As a leader, we need to grow the business. We need to grow the people. So as a leader, at the same time, if you're a non-profit leader like Joseph and Avery, your job is to grow impact. Probably not the business, but you have to grow impact that the environment that you work in. In order to do that, you need to grow yourself. I think this is a key thing that I always want to highlight. To grow yourself, you need to know yourself. You need to prepare yourself. You need to start growing. You need to elevate yourself, and then you need to grow for others. Right? So self-reflection is important because you need to have a time out for yourself, right? In order to evaluate. Now, if you could remember this phrase, this is the second phrase that I hope everyone could remember. Experience is not the best teacher, but evaluated experience is, right? We could all experience a lot of stuff, but if we don't evaluate it, we are doing that. It is of no use. I think that's the first thing. And Albert Einstein also say this phrase. I love this, and I learned this when I was a young leader. It is insanity to do the same thing over and over again, and yet expect a different result, a different outcome, right? So what will happen then is, as a leader, it is important that we need to stop and reflect. The third phrase that I learned from the book is, if you are on the wrong directions, right? You do not need to speed up. In fact, you need to stop, reflect, and tilt your directions, right? And change your directions. So as a leader, it is important that we have time to stop and reflect. And once we do that, then only we strategize on the next steps. And this is what we need to grow as well as leader. All right. So I know I talk a lot, but any thought on the 3 phrases that I taught? Experience is not the best teacher. Evaluate the experience is. It is insanity to do the same thing again and again and yet expect different results. The third one is, if you are on the wrong directions, you need to pause, not go faster.
Like how you will know you're in the wrong direction?
Anyone
You
Can anyone
I
help?
asked.
I think, yeah, I have a slightly different perspective maybe on some of this.
Okay.
I think there's no right direction. It's more so in the case of a professional sense, like where are you heading and what will be needed to get closer to that point. But I think even in that every step, right, there's the grace of God, there's the grace in how we make decisions and how we're inspired kind of to take that next step. And knowing that I think the doing comes from identity. So no matter what happens, like always coming back to who your identity is. But I think it's maybe you don't always know, right? But um I think even in the not knowing, like there's still a trusting. I don't know if that uh maybe like we can trust in the uncertainty, like because we don't know it all, nobody does. But when we do see that there's something that's off, like something that is not working, helping us work towards a certain goal, then we can reevaluate. But at some point, everybody's going to come to the realization, like I think at some point in life, probably many points, right, where we can't do like we're limited, right? We're finite. So I think that's where the grace and just in trust comes in. Um, I don't like the term trust the process, but maybe you guys have heard that term before. Um, Rawa. I don't know if they yeah.
Maybe I could share a story of Rawa. That will be a. Um, I could share a failure, maybe.
No, I understood what Avery was saying, even with some internet, but then the way you present yourself, you may not look like you're successful in front of others because you are like you're going in your route, you're trusting the process, if we will say, and then you reflect when you see something wrong, then maybe you take different direction or different approach, but then your resume will show that you are just changing from thing to thing, or you are posing. Like you can't say I'm posing because I want to reflect. So I understand it as a journey, as a life journey. Yes, this is no one will know me more better than me why I took all these routes, for example. But then how you will present it to others, I think it's different thing. It's different problem. You can't even say I was on the wrong route. From the leadership.
Well,
So that's why I was like, but maybe in the context they are talking, if you're not happy with your work, then it is wrong route and you need to change. I'm not sure.
well, I think what they're sharing it is here. I could share a story of mine. Um, I was at one point working in a quality process. It's called the Six Sigma process. I'm not sure if any of you have heard about that. I was a Six Sigma black belt for Eli Lilly. At one point, I worked for about 5 countries. Okay, because I did very well. Then the region office actually said, you know what, we're gonna have the whole Asia on the black belt report to you. You're gonna be the champion. So basically, it's a level up. All right. Now we will make that promotion for you after you run this final project, which is a region project. I need you to set up a region, all their management processes. Okay. All the processes from finance to HR to marketing to anything you could think of. You have to set all that up. And then once you finish this, all the black belt in Asia will be reporting into you. I did that project and I went into the wrong directions. I flopped. I failed.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason now I share a little bit on that. And then After that project, 2 weeks later, my boss came to me and then said, you know what, John, we say that we're going to have all the black belt report to you after this project. Now it will not happen. Basically, I got demoted. Now, this is the second failure, right? The first time is I was a young manager and all that. I didn't get demoted. That's fine. Continue. But now this one, I actually got demoted, right? So basically the direction is wrong. I know I was on the wrong directions. The question is, what went wrong? Right? Why did I get into this type of situation? I reflected, I talked to people, and this is where the power of reflection comes in. Now, at that time, I could make a decision to resign from the company, right? Because I don't think I will have a career in this company anymore. Right? It is a very prominent position, and yet I flopped. And I flopped creating a process for the whole region that worth about $1 billion, right? Operations. I think if you look into that, that's the worst direction that I have taken in that career. With that self-reflection, I actually found out that, you know what? I think that's one thing that I need to learn is my culture is great culture, respecting for elders, respecting for authority. That's a great culture. But when I facilitate a program where all the senior VP are standing there, I dare not speak because I was thinking that it's important to respect them so that I don't, you know, I dare not stop them. It's like saying that, Rawa, why don't I have you stop? This, you talk first, right? I dare not do that because culturally it's not okay with me. It's not okay for me. As I reflect that, I say, okay, this is something wrong. That's the wrong direction that I took, right? Now, no doubt, in my culture, that's the right thing to do. But in the corporate scenario, I need to learn that. I need to overcome that. I need to grow from there. So, and the good thing is my boss actually said, you need to talk to the senior vice, you need to talk to the regional president. Apologize to him, say that you didn't do a good job, right? And ask for his comment. And I met up with the president of the region in Singapore. He attended a meeting in Singapore, and I went to Singapore, meet up with him, and I apologized to him. He spent 4 hours with me, coaching me, guiding me, and all that, right? He doesn't have to. It was a Saturday. He spent 4 hours with me, coaching me, guiding me, and telling me all the challenges I had. It gave me a lot of self-reflections. And that's what actually made me to continue to stay back in that company. Right? So that's where I think the self-reflection, and from that day on, I told myself, no, if the company give me a job, it's my job to facilitate, it's my job to tell a senior VP, can you stop? Or to tell a senior VP, I think this is on the wrong thing, or tell the senior VP, hey, I disagree with what you say. That's my job. So that is a completely shift, right? From what I believe in to what I should do, which is the right thing by being given that job. So that was something to share. It's painful. Trust me, it's very painful. Given a promotion and then get taken away, right?
Yeah, but
Joseph, anything to add?
Evaluated experience. You turn it to evaluate it.
Yeah, it's an evaluated experience, and so I think that's the key thing, right? Let me share this fairly quickly. So I think it is important that we slow down. The power of pausing is reflection going to turn into experience. gonna turn experience into insight. Everyone need a time and place to be alone, to think. Intentional pausing actually expand thinking. If you are a leader, pausing is vital to success. Remember last week I talked about the one to work the hardest usually are not the one who get promoted, right? And with that, when what I share is strategic thinking, right? Is where is needed in the organization. And where the strategic thinking comes in, it is through the power of pausing, right? Because anything happen, this is where you say, okay, let me take 2 steps back. Let me rethink. Let me recommend to you what's the next steps. And that's the power, right? Unfortunately, not everyone will do that, right? Now, especially for us, I'm not sure every and Joseph for both of you, but for us coming from the East, Rawa, myself, and Patsia, right? For us is no, we are being taught that working hard is a solution. Working hard is where will bring you to where you should be. We are talking about respecting elders because elders know the best, right? Now that's a lot of the challenge that we're going to face as we operate in the corporate world, or as we operate in a situation that we are currently now, right, in the US. And just I just want to highlight that, right? And what people
Yeah.
are valuing is you pause, you think through, and you give your recommendation. Avery, let's go ahead. Sorry. Right.
Yeah, it's a workspace system is very common, I think. It's because it's something we can control. But I could speak. I want to speak on this on a much deeper philosophical level than I'm going to right now. But yeah, I think I'm thinking of one of our executives and our organization, how I remember almost 2 years ago, he had shared how he makes intentional time just to reflect and process things. Like he schedules it like throughout the week. He makes like up 10-15% of his time is spent processing, thinking through things, more problem solving, I think at times. But like, yeah, how yeah, I think there's a lot of value in that.
I when I work for Lily, I always spend like Friday. I will I will block 2 hours to think. Just 2 hours thinking time, talking about okay, what I have learned this week. So what I'm going to do differently next week. There's one way to do that. If you work in a company, just cut off 2 hours, right? This is my thinking time and hide somewhere and do that. That's one way. The other way is what I have learned is people always maintain a journal. And I have to admit, I'm not as consistent on that, which I need to, right? You maintain a journal. I've seen people writing down journal every day and capture learning. Or if you do not want to do every day, do once a week and capture those learning. And then reflect back on those learning, right? So that's actually becoming a reflection. It helps you to grow because as you go back, reflect back, you say, hey, you know what? Now I see. Okay. Self-awareness, self-reflection. And that's how 2 avenues to help you grow. Joseph, I see that you're in deep thought.
No, yeah, I th excuse me. I think for me, this is probably, an area that I need to get, better on, and my wife, and there probably a lot of people will say this is that you get so busy doing that you never have a chance to kind of sit back and think about what you're going to. It's almost like and John, from our conversation, you become so task oriented. It's like you don't have time to plan or plan to think. You just kind of go on to the next thing. And sometimes it's just out of habit or repetition versus, think not to think about that time as wasted time or unproductive time, but it really can become more valuable than you actually doing. And so that's something that, I am slowly getting better at, but that I know, I need to improve on it, just in my own, whether it's my professional career or even in my personal life. It's like, sometimes you just have to pause and, and also, my faith guides me, extremely. And, I use it is that sometimes if you don't pause yourself, God will pause you. And I mean, sometimes you will get an unintended interruption to make you kind of think and reflect. And this past week I kind of had a little bit of that, as I was dealing with the passing of my father and kind of working through, details and plans about that. Obviously, it was something that nobody intends for that to happen. It was like, it did give me, time to just kind of really reflect, the bookends about me being a father and also me being as a son. So it was a, unintended but needed kind of pause and kind of reflecting, even from a professional, realizing and recognizing that that time is just as valuable as you're doing. So it gives you a chance to kind of recalibrate, refocus, from what you've done and what you're getting ready to do. So.
Right. Now, I know we are at 9:15. Can I ask you all to give another 15 minutes for us to go through the next law? Is that okay for everyone? Okay, great. So I love the discussion tonight, right? We talking about evaluated experience is what makes us grow, self-awareness. We talk about we need to have self-reflections all the time in order for us to grow. Now, this is the part that we need to work on, which is the third law. You need to see value in yourself in order for yourself to grow. And this is where I want to share a story. I know tonight is all about sad story about me. I in 2024 in August, and this is where my boss actually shared with me and then say that, you know what, we have reevaluate the job descriptions of the department that you work in. And with that, your job description has changed for more than 30%. Due to that change, you lost your job and you need to reapply for your job because we will need to relook to see whether there's more qualified people to do the job. So, and then of course, you then say, well, this is not personal, it's all business. Yeah. So in my department, 3 of us lost the job, but we are encouraged to reapply. But my boss said, well, we could reject you if you don't meet the requirement. We're going to open this job up for everybody in the company. Rawa, welcome to corporate world, right? So, and I did say, hey, you know what? It has been a long 30 years, almost 30 years for me working. And I did ask HR, hey, if I take on retirement, is that okay? That's why HR actually said, yes, it's okay. So that's how I decided to take on the retirement. Then after I take that on, definitely I still need a job. I still need to pay for my house. I still need to feed my family and all that, right? But I said, I need to rest. I'm really tired. And when you're in a situation like that, all your confidence are gone, right? It's like, it seems like, so what I did, I slept every day. I just slept every day. I just hope that I sleep and I wake up. I just hope that my confidence will come back again. I slept and, right? So for 2-3 months, I was sleeping until a friend of mine called me up and then said, John, can you come up for coffee? And we sat in Starbucks for 2.5 hours. This friend actually guided me through, asked me what I really like, asked me what my passion is, asked me where my strength is. And he actually hooked me up with other nonprofit. And Joseph, you probably know Camptown and all these other nonprofit, and said, John, I think you have so much skill and you could help all these other people. All right. And he actually encouraged me to get back on. And that's how I slowly get involved with the Maxwell program and move on. Now, this just happened in October 2024. We're talking about just a year ago. All right. And guess who is that friend? Who was that friend who asked me out for coffee? Joseph, you won't believe, is your boss, Craig Kinchen. All right. He's the guy who said, you have to come up for coffee.
I can believe it. I
You-
can believe it.
All right. So I always tell Craig, I absolutely indebted to him, right? Without him, I probably would still be sleeping and get depressed every day at home. So the key would then be is I actually have to share that I don't see value in myself during that time. I thought that everything is how do I say, everything is gone. Imagine if you do the work for almost 30 years, right? Suddenly you lost your job. You would then say, what's my value? I think that's the challenge. Now, what is very, very important is your value is like your self-confidence, like your self-image, right? Always remember, when I teach some of the youth, I always show them this. This is the lead. Okay? Your self-image is like the lead. All your potential is at the bottom. If you don't have a good self-image, self-confidence, you do not see value in yourself. This is the cover. You cannot go beyond that. So you need to really, really see value in yourself. That's number one. If you don't see that, no one will add value onto you. All right. So I like the phrase here. You may succeed if nobody else believes in you, but you will never succeed if you don't believe in yourself. I like this phrase. Right? Your self-image is like the lead that you're gonna it's gonna be the ceiling for you on how far you're gonna go. That's important, right? Maxwell said, if you place a small value on yourself, rest assured the world will not raise the price. Okay. So hopefully with this is what I would like to share with the group. Now, he actually shared a couple of key things. These are the things that you need to do in order to understand your self-value, in order to know you have value. Okay? Guide your self-talk. How you talk to yourself is very important, right? Stop comparing yourself to others. Joseph, I know the first day when you come, you say, you know what? The imposter syndromes. I love that. I have imposter syndromes. I always think that I'm not good compared to others, right? Because I have my self-talk, I compare to others. And that's what the challenge that I have. I have to overcome that, right? Even the question that you asked me, even now, sometimes I would then say, you know what? The other Maxwell coach is way better than me. They're more experienced than me. And how could I be a Maxwell coach? to be like that because I'm comparing myself with them. Right? Move beyond self-limit belief. Right? It's like sometimes I found that people believe me more than I believe myself in myself. Right? How do you move beyond that? The other thing will be add values to others. The more you add values to others, the more you're going to feel that, hey, you know what? This is good. I got value. And I do not mind sharing. I was disappointed a couple of times that I really want to stop doing mastermind leadership lab. I told my wife, I think I'm going to stop because I don't think it's adding any value for me. I don't think it's adding any values. But when I start to look at all the Google review, people start putting in after they attend the class. And I told myself, it's like, no, I need to continue this because people say that this is important. People are learning new things, right? Add value to others. Do the right things. Because each time when you do the right things, you will feel that, you know what, I really, despite all these challenges, I'm still doing the right thing. That will add your values, right? Practice small discipline daily, critical, right? You don't have to be perfect and do a big step. Do small step every day. You're going to see your progress after a month, 2 or 3, right? Do I look better now after a year? That's my question back to you. Compared to I sleep and sleep and sleep and sleep every day. I felt that I do a lot better now because I practice small steps on a daily basis. Celebrate small wins. Okay. Embrace a positive visions. And this is the one that I like the most. Practice one word strategy. Have you heard about that? You know, I will share with you. And after Craig convinced me to wake up, so I joined the Maxwell group. That was, I think, in October, November. In January, my Maxwell peers on the south side of Indianapolis, she actually said, hey, I'm running a big workshop. I think you should come in at 10. I said, sure. And she actually said, no, it will be free for you. Just come. Right. So I went. And in that workshop, how she ran it was give me just one word that you want for 2025. She just asked that. Everybody will have to put one word. What do you want? One word that describes yourself in 2025. I put the word refresh. Right? I put the word refresh because I told myself is that I cannot continue to be depressed. I need to refresh myself. Right? So that's single word. That's my 2025. If you ask me what will be my 2026, I'm going to share with you my words will be rebuild. I need to rebuild myself. All right. What will be 2027? Re-engage. Right? It's a 3 years journey. And every year I have a single word now strategy. Practice that. This is what I would like to encourage you to do that because once you have that single word, you're going to see changes happen because that's how you grow. All right. So that's what I would like to share, and just want to see if you all want to add any other things.
You know, I just try to apply to real life, and I think to have value in yourself without success or job, at least, it's very difficult. It will be all summarized just to like I worth of respect because everyone deserves respect, but you cannot see in yourself more than that. And I don't mean anything, Katsia. You will work at the end, but because I've been in your situation, so I think it's very hard to keep that positive value about yourself when you are not, at least like initial steps where you wanted to go. I don't know how other people will do it. Like, for example, your friend helped you. You will always, when I wasn't working, you will always communicate with me. So maybe if people keep that connections, maybe they will help each other. But it's hard. For me, it's hard. It's very challenging. And especially for us, like the value it's related to your work and what you work and what you add to the community, what you add to the family, I find it very challenging.
What I learned is your job should not define who you are.
Yes, it is.
It's
It is
easy.
that's what we say,
It's
but to
easy.
apply it, to live it, it is difficult,
Yeah,
or at least
it is.
we need to remind each other like about that.
Yes.
Like I have my family, for example, to support me and tell me that.
Yes. Yeah. I also, honestly, yeah, you might think that, okay, John, you're completely recovered. I think, no, right? If you look into the income that I could generate is lower than what I should be generating, right? If I'm working with a full-time job with Lily, right? So it is challenging, but now you need to rely on all these other things. But yeah, I know you're looking for a job and all that, right? Again, small step, right? Start small. It doesn't really matter what job comes in.
Yeah.
Get it first. If there's a job coming, get it first. That's what I told Roxia. Roxia, I know she's not here. She's probably working for Kroger because I pushed her to work for Kroger. And she was like, no, no, no. And like, no, just go work for Kroger first. Then we start talking about next. You don't do that, you're going to continue to be like, right? And then now she worked for Kroger. This is another friend, Joseph. I think every you know her because
Yeah.
you in another class. And she worked for Kroger now. Now she say, you know what? In Kroger, everybody likes me.
Yep.
I say, yes, you're so talkative. That's why everybody likes you, right? And she just came from Afghan January this year, right? But she said it's a part-time. I said, it's a part-time, that's fine. Go work for Kroger.
Yeah, I want to add something that I do want to find some job, but at the same time, I don't believe myself because I think I should take some courses or some trainings before I apply. But at the same time, there's a saying in our community that they say, don't think about it, just go for it. You will learn in the environment. Like they say, the chair will teach you. Like in our community, you gain a position, it means you gain a chair. So when you sit in the chair will teach you what
The
you
chair will teach you.
yeah. So I did had this
But be careful. This is only for positions with the chair. That comes with the chair.
yeah.
Oh dear. I love this group. I love this group.
Well, John's got many chairs in his conference room. Many chairs to share.
All right. Well, Quatsia, if you need to talk more, set up time with me, right? We could talk more. That would be the next step that we could work on. I send you my calendar. The other thing will be, I don't think I share everybody's email, right? I'm going to share everybody's email. Feel free to
Yeah.
email one another and connect and encourage one another. All right. So,
You
great job,
indirectly
everybody.
did. You indirectly did through the initial email chain, but yeah, that'd probably be good to share it again.
Right. I'll do that. Great job, everybody. Great discussions. At least we catch up with some of our chapter, but it is very great discussions. Okay. Remember self-awareness, to grow, self-reflections, and you need to see value in yourself in order to grow. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Everyone have a great night.
Bye.
Great week.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye-bye.